Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. This is message. Hi, Dan. All right.
Welcome to Tea Time with
Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky.
This is super recent.
Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. I missed you guys. I really did. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Political Tuesday Tea Time with Bunky. I am your host, Kanitha, aka Bunky. I would like to thank all of my Tea Time with Bunky followers and subscribers. Those who have been there with me from the beginning, thank you. For those that are just learning about Tea Time, I invite you to take this journey with me. Political Tuesdays is when we talk about politics, anything political, anything political. And this is normally up until election time, but it can go further. I would like to let everybody know that you can catch Tea Time Political Tuesday every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Normally Instagram, but we're not doing Instagram tonight. And you can catch regular Tea Time with Bunky every Thursday at 7 p.m. Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. You can also catch me on Thursdays at 8 a.m. Shout out to the VGN network on Zeno FM. Go download the app for free. The Village Global Network app, and you can catch me on Thursdays at 8 a.m. on Culture Shock Radio, Confidence Radio, Radio Paceto, New Mexico, Rockbox Radio, Wapter Music, and Gnarly FM. And those stations are played globally in over 200 plus countries. I have my special guest tonight. Well, my co-host, let me bring up my co-host first. Co-host, Shad, who is here with me on my Political Tuesdays. Thank you, Shad, for being here. You can catch him on Wednesdays on In the Studio with the Rec Boys at 7 p.m. on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and on those same radio stations that I listed and other ones. Tonight's special guest, I have a special guest, Miss Michele Frazier. She is running for Senate District 51. Oh, wait, where'd she go? Wait, Maria. Oh, Michele, where you at? Wait.
Hello.
There you go. Okay. There you go.
I'm here.
Time with Bunky.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you here and have this conversation. So tell the people a little bit about you. Help us get to know you. Did she freeze?
Okay. So I actually grew up in Oneonta, New York, so not that far from Monticello, really. I currently live in Delhi. I'm a professor of criminal justice. So I teach the next generation of cops, some social workers, lawyers, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm raising 3 children in rural New York. I have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old, 2 of whom are neurodivergent. I don't know if you're familiar with neurodivergent, Shad and Bunky, but it's like ADHD, autism, brains that think AGZ instead of ABC. Those are my kids.
Okay.
So they think a little differently. So I started thinking about, I had sat on city council in Oneonta, and then my son a couple of years ago needed me to be home, and we needed to move to the Delhi area. And so I took a couple of years off from the political life. And then when I was asked this time to run, I shared it with my kids and my husband, and they were like, all right, we're ready, Mom. We're ready for you to go. So part of why I'm running, I guess, though, has to do with my heritage. So my parents were greenhouse growers, and we started out as gardeners. I don't know. Do you garden, either of you?
I don't deal with the dirt and the bugs and no.
Grow plants?
I don't garden, but my wife gardens, and she's really starting to get her green thumb. So I know enough by watching. That's about
okay.
it.
All right. So my parents were big. What I learned out of that is that our business actually started because my dad grew too much zucchini in the back garden, and it was plentiful, right? So we would share it, and he would sell it in the neighborhood on a little radio flyer wagon. And part of that was like, I love where we live. I think we live in one of the most beautiful areas in the country. And there's a lot of amazing things here. Like we have water, we have land, we have farmers, we have amazing people. So what I grew up learning was how to tend to the garden, right? Pick out the weeds, distinguish the fruit from from the mess of things, and how to dig in deep and make that garden flourish. So I actually want that for rural New York, right? I want us to have these flourishing communities, thriving communities. And I know that takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
From the fruit, get in with get my hands dirty and grow our communities.
Okay. So that's all right. I hear you, but I'm like questioning with the farming and things like that. What if you have people like me who really aren't interested in that type of, that's not interested. I mean, like we need the farmers. We need the farmers. We need all of that. But like someone like me, like I'm looking at your platform on the family support and the community safety, and housing is a big thing to me. I don't know about Shad, but housing is big to me.
So what I would say, Bunky, just I actually heard we talked for just 2 seconds before we went on air, and we were talking about tending to the communities.
Right.
You are tending to the community, right? Like you're hosting these TV. That's a way that you're tending to the community. Shad, you've got a rec center and a barbershop, right? That's actually tending to the community. I'm using the garden as an illustration.
Okay.
But my top 3 priorities are housing is number 1.
Okay.
Everything that we talk about in New York comes back to housing and making sure that we have affordable, attainable housing for our folks in our communities. I sell real estate also. And I can't tell you how many families I've worked with that are trying to get their roots planted here, right? They're trying to build their families here, start their businesses, start their teaching jobs, their, public service jobs, and they can't find a place to live. So that is a huge platform for me. I want our families who are here to be able to maintain their homes and stay here, and then people to come here, and when they want to, plant their roots and find a house, be able to find one that's affordable and workable for them. So that is absolutely one of my top priorities, and that I think is talk about jobs. One of the reasons we have difficulty getting big companies come here, we don't have enough housing for workforce individuals. When we talk about the tax base, right? If we don't expand how many people we have houses for that can live here, we don't have a bigger tax base. So housing is a huge issue. I want to make sure that we are housing our communities well. The second issue,
oh, that's internet. Yeah, she froze. She froze. I was gonna jump in. I know. I'm like,
I know. I'm ready to jump in too, but she went into my second part.
But okay, you froze. You froze on us.
I know. I don't know why you're doing that. So the second part is expansion of 911 to include mental health, domestic violence, and substance abuse professionals from the 911 system.
Okay.
So as a criminal justice professor, it's very important, right? We have cops that need to do a job to keep us safe.
Wait, we keep that, hold that right there. Everybody, it's Bunky from Tea Time with Bunky. I'm inviting you to go and download the free VGN Village Global Network app, where you can catch me on the radio. Yes, I am on the radio, where you can catch me on Culture Shock Radio, which is in Canada, Rockbox Radio, Radio Pacero, New Mexico, Mexico, WAP the Music FM, which is in the Caribbean, Guadeloupe, Gnarly FM, which is in Ecuador, and on Confidence Radio. That's right. You can catch me on these stations. Download the VGN app. It's free. And trust me, it's a totally different experience. Okay, let's get back to where we were. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So,
all right, yeah. So I'm gonna walk for a minute and see if I can't get to a location that has a little better internet. So don't mind me for a second, if that's okay. I can talk and walk at the same time. Okay. So what we want to do is expand 911 to include these mental health professionals, domestic violence, and substance abuse. when we do that, cops continue to keep us safe, right? And we provide better comprehensive services for our communities. So our people in crisis. And the reality is, in a lot of our communities, we're having a hard time keeping people safe because recruitment for policing is down. There has been a lot of tensions with police, and we're asking them to do a job that they're not trained to do specifically.
Right.
And we actually, like, the world of my scholarship shows that when we increase our services at the point of crisis for an individual, they are more likely to receive help freely. They are more likely to have less violence perpetrated against them. And it costs us less over the course of time, right? The criminal justice system to handle mental health care is an expensive endeavor. So when we actually handle our mental health issues, our substance abuse issues with the right professionals, it actually costs us less as a society. So for me, that's really an important model that I'd like to see the whole state implement. And I think we can do a really good job with that in our communities.
Well, let me ask you, dealing with the 911 for the substance abuse, the mental health crisis or whatever, what if someone's in the heart of a crisis, right? They're having a crisis, and a family member or even they themselves call 911.
Yep.
We know that it's not, it wouldn't be safe for a clinical mental health counselor or substance abuse counselor to go out into the field with an officer because they're not trained like that. At one point, I was like, no, they need to go because this is what, going to school for this. I, learned how to de-escalate the situation. And sometimes the police don't, because that's not what they're trained for.
Right.
But do you think that it would be okay for a mental health counselor to go out? Because I don't know how that would look. Or are you saying it's safer for them to try to get services before they escalate? But we know that you can escalate in a moment.
Sure.
And the police are called.
So there's a couple things, right? So right now, when somebody calls 911, they have three options, 911. They can send a cop, they can send an ambulance, and they can send a fire truck. What I want to say is they now have 6 options, right? And that doesn't mean that they only send one person. It might be that in a certain situation, they send a cop and substance abuse, a cop, a substance abuse, and an ambulance, right? So it might be that we send a variety of services. These models have been going on since about the 1980s. They started in both Memphis, which is the one model is that to train police to do this work. And in the 1980s, there was also a model out of Oregon where there's separate facilities that come. You can also have them come and travel together. Turns out the models that use what I'm suggesting, a 6-prong method, right? Like the 6 ideas actually work better. They service the clientele better. They keep us safer. They lower times for police to respond to other emergencies. They lower times for ambulances to respond to other emergencies. So are there some times where it's a situation where the social worker or the specialist, the expert might not be safe? That's an instance where we would send them with a police officer. In other of danger, they can go by themselves. So it depends on the circumstance, and that's why the 911 call center is trained. And they're currently trained to make those determinations. They just only have 3 options. I'm asking to expand that to have 6 options.
So you want to have like 6 units? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chad.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish on that.
Because I'm trying to figure out if it's like have 6 units all go out on one call. No, okay. Because I know we have mobile mental health kind of.
Yeah.
that goes out. So is it something like that, like a mobile mental health?
Yeah.
And then they'll call the police. Okay. I just needed clarity because I was.
And this is the same thing. Like if an ambulance is sent out to a call and they get there and there's some issue that wasn't reported on the 911 call, then they can radio back to 911 and say, hey, I need you to send this additional source, right?
Okay.
So really, it's not having 6 different units, it's having different options to send from. And we actually already have a lot of these services. They instituted a 988 service, which is you would call 988 if you were having a mental health crisis. The problem is only 3% of the population is using that service. People still know if they're in a crisis of any kind, they call 911. And so I think that's a better system.
Yeah, 90.
Go ahead, Sean.
So this sounds dope in theory. It sounds great in theory. How are you gonna if the enrollment in cops are down? How are we gonna get this going? Like what? Like where does it start at to get the ball rolling? Because it's like a lot of people don't want to, for some reason become cops. The enrollment's down, the academy is low. Some states the academy's not even running. How do we address that problem to at least start training, and if not training the officers, implementing the six ways to get in there? Like how does, because this all goes back to community. Being a cop is a job, and you have to have a job to
gotta have a relationship with the community. Right. You
gotta have, that's the job part. But I need a job to pay my bills before I can be part of the community. I need a job to take care of my tribe, so that we can be part of the community. You get what I'm saying? So actually,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What I would say is actually this is a recruitment tool. When they ask police officers what they want to do, they want to stop crime, right? They want to serve their communities in that capacity. And in fact, there's an article about how cops do not want to be social workers, right? They don't want to do that. So if we stop asking them to do that part of the job, we bring back the job that they initially wanted to be, right? We bring back.
But what is that? But what is that job? That's a part of your job. We're about to get down and dirty now. That's part of your job. Like
I teach officers. So yes, your part of your job is to de-escalate and to be a member of the community.
Wait, can you hold that? Be a member of the community. Hold that. Yep. We're gonna do a quick one. Blackout. There we go. We're back at it. Okay. That was a quick one. That was just a blackout.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to lose that. Okay.
Yeah. So we want to be this members of community. At the same time, right, their training is to respond quickly, right, to aggression, respond quickly to changes. So for instance, and this is something I talk about a lot because my son has autism.
Okay.
Are you familiar? Do you know anybody with autism? Have any familiarity?
Yeah, I worked in the field for over 30 years.
And I have autistic customers. Like I'm the child whisperer. They bring them all to me for some reason. It works, Right. But yeah, no, we have some experience.
She's frozen.
Freeze again. This is starting to get really,
right.
Really
maybe
good.
That's where we're freezing. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Well, while she's frozen, she'll probably jump back in. Probably there you go. Did you hear what we said? Did you hear our response?
No.
Okay. We were like, there she go. That Oneonta, that's part of the platform, the internet. That's her thing with the internet too. So
got you.
With the housing, so they really need to fix that.
Well, I'm interested in her take on. I'm so interested on her take with the social worker and the cop thing. I think
it's too dangerous. My personal opinion, because they're not social workers. I was one. I was like a social worker kid. I was for ACS, and without here she's back. She's back. Okay. There you go. I see that's
right, go
part
ahead.
with your housing. Yeah, y'all need to fix that internet. Yeah.
Broadband, yeah, no, only out today. It's tough out
It's rough out
there.
there.
We're trying that too.
Yeah.
I know it says I have fun in my house, so I don't know. But it keeps dropping me. I'm sorry for that. So you
No,
were
it's
saying about social work. Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, my whole thing is like, okay, you don't want to be a social worker, but in a sense, you are a social worker. I don't want to be a therapist, but my trade makes me a therapist. I got to listen to a lot of stuff that I want to be like, yo, dude, I really don't care. But that's rude. No, that's rude, and it
That's
doesn't make good for
rude.
my business. So
Right,
now,
right,
my patients have grown to be like,
right.
okay, hear him out. If you really got to do something, cut it short when you get the ability to. If you can help them, help them. But I don't want to be a therapist, and it's by default. So now I can't say, yo, I'm not gonna give you no advice. I'm not gonna talk. Do we change? Do we change the training?
Wait,
Because the police have to. They have to wear different hats, regardless if they don't want to or not. They have no choice.
well, you
I
know
agree.
me. I'm going to say one thing.
Go ahead.
Being a mom, officer mom, mom officer, officer mom. I'm an
Yeah,
officer mom.
cop
I'm a
mom,
He's an
cop mom.
officer of the law. Um, that's I think where the community, like community policing, comes in. He knows his community. He knows the people that live in his area. So he knows people who can tentatively go into crisis or not, and he's still learning, but he does do it is social work because he's talking to them. He knows, but not all officers do this. He knows how to go in and de-escalate the situation because I think he's from the community. He knows the community. He's not someone who lives here and works in Newburgh. You don't know those people,
Right.
So I think
Yes.
that plays a part in it.
Sure. Community policing has seen being a better model, right? Where you're from
Right.
the community, within the community, all of that. So there are, and Rashad, this gets to your point, there are people, programs that are called CIT programs. They're crisis intervention trained police officers. What we did with that model is we said, okay, we're going to train all people in crisis intervention that are cops, right? I don't know about you, but when you force people to take trainings and they don't want to take them, how much of that information do they take away and use?
That's it. That's
Yes.
they're not gonna want to do it. They resent doing it. But
Yeah.
if I resent shooting a gun, they're gonna tell me to find another profession. Like let's. I can't resent getting hair on me and saying I want to cut hair.
That's a good
Like
point.
I want to
Right.
be a barber. So now
Right.
and this is what they cops, criminal justice. They take psychology classes. They're trained to go and
Yeah.
de-escalate. So you
Yeah.
can't. It's like now you're saying, yo, I don't want to learn this part of the job. I want to be a chef, and I don't want to. I don't want to know how to cook vegetables. I just want to cook meat. No, that's not part of being a chef. You have to learn at least the basics. So
Sure.
now, and this is how, like, and this goes all over like the spectrum. If we get those out of there, then we're probably gonna have less situations that aren't gonna be talked, that can't be talked down. Now, as far as the community policing, yeah, to a certain extent, because then I I believe police should be held to a certain light because
Absolutely.
they are a certain light in the community. They're there to
Right.
serve and protect. So now when me as somebody, I de-escalate stuff all the time. I know if a guy is drunk, regardless if I live in his neighborhood or not. Now my whole thing is to get him to calm down. Hey, maybe walk it off, go home, boom, boom, boom. Community policing works, but good policing is good policing.
Yeah. I was gonna say
If you're a
everybody
good cop,
everybody shouldn't be an
you can be a
officer,
good
period.
cop
That's
in New
just
York City. You can
can't
be a good cop in Wyoming.
right.
If this is what you want to do, it's like being a barber. For a long time, I cut hair. I wasn't a barber. I cut hair. Then I became a barber because I wanted to become better. I wanted to learn different things. I wanted to go in depth in my profession. But for a long time, I just cut hair. You get what I'm saying? And I think we need the first start with getting people who don't want to be full-time cops. Because it's a big job. It's huge. It's huge. And I'm one of those that, listen, I'll tell somebody quick, no, I'm good. I don't want the responsibility. And that being a cop comes with a lot of responsibility.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive though, Shad. Right? Like I think that you can train cops for crisis intervention and add services to 911 to round out the system and make it better. Right?
Oh no, absolutely. But I don't
stop training our cops. We're not going to stop training our cops to do crisis intervention. We're providing them with another tool.
It's another tool.
When you provide them with a bigger toolbox that they can utilize in their communities, that we can recruit more, right? So we can recruit more. Just like when you're at a barber, right? Like you need tools. You got your scissors and you got your, all your equipment. Well, we need a bigger toolbox to help our police officers. And so that they're not just overwhelmed by the amount of calls that they're getting. So I think when we expand the system, I actually think it increases our likelihood of recruiting our future officers, right? Okay. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're working to solve a problem, and that's what we need. We need solutions. We don't need. We know what's wrong.
Right.
We've seen it. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and I hope everybody that's tuned in is understanding where you're going. The cop rates are down because of certain situations. So now, if we implement this, which makes everything safer, which hopefully will open up the door for people who were on the fence about becoming cops, now have a better understanding that, hey, this is also available for you.
Okay, well, let me pause, take commercial, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about housing. Hi, everybody. This is Bunky. I would like to invite you to my groundbreaking episode of Tea Time with Bunky. I will be having my first live studio audience. Yes, Tea Time with Bunky has a live studio audience for my episode that's airing on October 3rd. Yes, October 3rd. I will be giving away 15 Tea Time with Bunky tickets to the first 15 people that ask for it. So the panel discussion will be menopause, something that all women will be going through one day. So tune in. Let's talk about it. Women in different phases of it, and the audience can ask questions and be a part of. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Special Tea Time with Bunky, October 3rd. Hit the button and get your ticket. See you there. Okay, George Mason asks a question. How about getting guns out of our community? No one should have high capacity rifles or handguns. Fact, I don't know. How do you get, once they're there? That's always been my question. Like, how do you get them out? And this is another question. The government needs to give out incentives to encourage people to become cops. Yeah, because it's a really hard job. But back to the question with how do you get weapons off the street if they're there?
So government has buyback programs, which are essentially like that says, hey, we'll buy this gun back from you.
But do people do it though?
Yeah, people do it. Right? People do it.
The buybacks, I thought they were just giving back. I thought they were like, if people wanted to get guns off the street. I didn't know if people were buying.
No, I heard they were buyback. I heard that they get something for giving them guns.
They give them. It's not going to be the same price maybe as they would get for a street gun, right? Like, or that they might get if they're selling it on a different market. But it doesn't come. They don't have to take it for free, right? So I think that there are programs for us to do this. I think we also need to start having some of these serious conversations that it's not an either or with guns anymore. Mm-hmm. Like when I teach this in my class, right? I live in Delhi, New York. There's 3,000 people here, and my husband in a small town that didn't have a stoplight, right, up in this area. And in order to feed themselves their food, they had to hunt, right? So that to me is a use of a gun that makes sense, right? I have to hunt and get my food.
Right.
The use of guns for the purpose of shooting people does not make sense.
No.
And actually, most Americans believe in some type of regulations for guns, right? So if you ask somebody, you know, should a person who has a criminal record have a gun? Most people say no.
But it depends. With me, I think it depends on the depends on what depends.
Right. A violent crime, right? Something
Right.
for a violent crime.
No, they don't need it.
Right. If a person has a history of
She froze.
some mental health issue, should they have access to, right? Should they have unfettered access to guns? Most Americans say no.
No, right.
So I think we have to get to the table and say that when we're talking about guns, we're not taking away every gun from every American. That's not what we're doing. We're
Those
also
high
not
capacity
saying
weapons.
every American needs a gun.
Right.
Right?
But nowadays, I don't know.
There's somewhere in the middle of that.
Okay.
Right? Like there is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So I think buyback programs are great. I think this is a conversation that we need to have with people regularly about why is there such a controversy about guns, and part of that is I think guns mean different things to different people, right?
That's
guns, right? They mean food and sustenance and protection, and other people are they are hunting humans, right? So this conversation is important, and we need to start having it in a way that doesn't require us to come up with an extreme position. It isn't either or.
But it's the people involved on either side is the ones with either or, because the people who hunt aren't saying they should take away ARs. They're not saying that. They're saying no, don't take away no guns, because if they take your gun, then they're gonna take my gun. And I use mine for
and what hunting. Is the point though for an AR on the streets today? What is the point? There's no point.
I will say, Rashad, hunters who access to ARs, right? There's a lot of them that are like, that makes no sense. You're not hunting anything with an AR-15.
No, you're not.
But and then the counter argument is, well, you have a right to have a gun, so I have a right to have a gun. And that is because it's the same thing. It's the same thing with hunting. I know many people that bow hunt. Don't load a bullet, and they get deer, they feed themselves, everything. You get what I'm saying? Some even use the crossbow. So it's that argument, like you said earlier, we have to be real with each other. I think there's too much of not really taking a look in the mirror and seeing what it's for. Even if it's noticing that you're gonna have a blemish. You get what I'm saying? Because it doesn't matter whether or not if I'm standing for, gun owner rights, and I know that all you're doing is collecting an arsenal, and I literally go out and hunt every season. I have tags, I do my license, everything, but I'm in the same meeting with you. And then we're not being truthful amongst ourselves. We just know that they're trying to take our guns.
Okay, well that's we can talk about guns this whole show and next show.
Oh no,
we're not gonna solve this other thing. Let's talk about the housing. That's my thing. The housing. We know that affordable housing is like, especially Sullivan County, especially housing, there is none. Affordable housing. And when I refer to regular people, I'm always talking about me. I'm a regular people. I'm a one income household and trying to live in this world. And there's no housing for people like me. I'm blessed that I have a landlord that looks out. Everybody doesn't have that. I live in a decent place where the rent, it's high. I mean, like, it's high, but you know what? It's here, and I thank God I'm not complaining about it. But there is no affordable housing here, Sullivan County, because we know we have a lot of the different developments for people that don't look like me, because that's what it is. People that don't look like me. you being a realtor, you sell houses and you do apartments and I guess rentals for housing.
Sure.
And it goes by it goes by credit. It goes by credit. So if you don't have good credit for whatever reasons, not that you were irresponsible, you just were living from credit card to credit card to support your family because you don't make enough money, like it's a whole domino effect. And then you want to have your children in a safe environment, place that's not covered in bed bugs, roaches, because that's what it is. I used to work for the county, so I know what is out there in Sullivan County for the amount of money. So how do you plan on getting affordable housing or making it so that it's a right, put it like that, it's a right for everybody to have a nice place to live?
Yeah. So I think there's two major issues for me. One is that we've got to build. The reality is we have got to expand our housing stock. So
wait 1 second, and it's exactly 1 second. Go ahead. It was exactly one. Okay.
So we've got to expand our housing, right? That means we've got to build. We need to do that. We need to do it with good sense, right? With making good decisions, but we have got to are able to build in a way that expands our stock. So when I sat on city council, and I use this example all the time, I sat on city council, we needed 35 units of housing every year for 10 years. This is not just a Sullivan County problem, Bunky.
Because I'm like, it's okay.
It's a rural New York problem, right?
Okay.
We needed 35 units of housing every year for 10 years to make up for what we currently didn't have. In that time, there was like 50 or 60 units built. It's a lot, right? People aren't building at the rate that we need them to build. So we need to incentivize and make that process smoother. The second thing that's happened, I think, from my experience is, and I know this has happened in Sullivan County, people have come in and bought properties for the purposes of short-term rentals, right? Of renting it on Airbnb, renting it on VRBO, right? And what's happened in that whole world is municipalities have had the actions to, we've got to fix this problem, right? We've got to make it so that they can't buy and this can't do this, and they put in zoning laws. And I think sometimes those zoning laws in the long run actually hurt the ability for people to expand in that community, to build in that community. What I want to do is at the state level, I want to fund research that helps us know how zoning laws work for different communities, and then have a housing czar that comes into the communities, helps the village people on the council, on the town council, on the municipality boards to put into place the best protections of the community that don't completely stifle property loaning. We know that currently 28% of housing is owned by large, essentially huge corporations. They expect that in the next, I think 10 years, and I have to look that statistic up, but that will increase to 40% of property being owned by huge companies, investment companies. We have got to slow that, because as investment companies become monopolies of housing, the prices is only going to go up. So we have got to make sure that locals are able to buy properties as opposed to massive corporations gobbling up our properties and then pinning heavy costs for communities. So it's an issue. Property, and if there's a monopoly starting to happen on the purchases of properties in New York State, and then we've also got to encourage building. When we do all of those things, I really think we actually can get to the point where we start to have houses for our families, and I call it like workforce houses, right? Mm-hmm. We need houses that people who work, right? And if you are working in a job, I want you to be able to afford to live in that community. I want you to be able to, instead of taking an hour to get to work, I want you to be able to raise your kids in that community. I want you to be able to drive to work in 15, 20 minutes, shorten your days so that you have more time for what Shad was saying, right? Like, I got to take care of mine before I can get to the community. Well, communities are stronger, right? But communities are stronger when we're closer. right, to the community? When are we going to afford to live in that community? If I don't have an hour and a half commute on each side of my day, I now got an hour and a half that I can bring my kids to school. I can go to the PTA meeting. I can coach the soccer, the Pee-wee soccer in the afternoons, right?
Right.
I can hang out with the kids at Shaw's Rec Center. Like all of that kind of stuff. And this all boils down to getting people in houses that are affordable. So for me, housing is one of my top priorities because we flourish when people can plant roots in their communities.
I like that.
Everybody flourishes, right? Like everybody, right? Like it's not just me, right?
How do we stop, besides laws, how do we stop people from doing short-term rentals? Like, because it's expensive to live here because people don't make any money here.
It's a struggle.
But we gotta understand that people can't live here because they don't have the jobs to live here. And then 2 parts to this. The second part is the housing that is available has been infiltrated. It's been infiltrated, and it's red, and it's generation passed on from grandma to now. I got the house, and and you're laughing, but it's like it's more like, I get affordable housing, and we need to slow the people who are buying these rentals, and they're thinking, hey, I'm gonna do the Airbnb because the people who live here can't afford to have this place anyway. So I'm gonna give it to somebody who visits for a week.
Right.
First, rent it out somebody here all year round. But what happens is the people that are there all year round are stuck in these jobs, these low paying, these low wages jobs where there's no move up. There's no factories being built. There's no real circulation of money. I don't know how it is in Delhi, but in Sullivan County, to live in Sullivan County, you got to work in Middletown.
Yeah.
To live in Middletown, you got to work in Nyack. To live in Nyack, you got to work in New Rochelle.
Right.
New Rochelle, you got to work in the city. You get what I'm saying? So how is it that's
it's
what
allowable?
It is. Stop it before it gets to that point. What's or if you know, like, what would be your solution to get to the point to where the wages are going up and now people can afford? So now you don't have slum landlords because this all is part of this.
Let me just throw this out really quick. Georgia said protect and support refugees. They also deserve housing. Yes, they do deserve housing, and nobody's saying
everybody deserves housing.
Everybody deserves housing. Everybody deserves to live. But and this may be selfish because I'm thinking about myself at the moment. I'm like, I deserve housing. I work hard all of my life. I've been working since I was 14 years old, and I was a teen mom, and it's like life happened, life. You know what I'm saying? And I went to school. I got the degrees. I did everything I was supposed to do, but still can't afford to live. And so it's like, it's not taken away from supporting the refugees and people. No. I believe everybody should be treat your brother like you're supposed to. But I'm like, I need to be able to have nice housing for me too before I can help my brother. How can I pull my brother up if I'm down in a ditch too? But that's just that on that. I don't think they're mutually.
I don't think those are mutually exclusive, right? Like, I think the whole point is to provide housing across the board here, right? Like, I think right. I'm not saying that one type of people get housing and other people don't.
No, you're not. Not at all.
I think it's important that we house our community, right? And refugees are people who have come to the United States legally seeking asylum from governments that are not in good shape.
Right.
These are people who actually have come through the process. They are not people who are no longer, they're not supposed to be seen as cockroaches that are infesting, right? These are people who have actually come here seeking help.
A better life. Exactly.
A better life. They are now our neighbors. Right. These are people we are including in our housing prospects, right? So I think there's two things I want to address from Rashad, what you were saying is
Yes.
in thinking about the jobs piece. One of the things we need to do is hold corporations accountable for paying their staff. We have allowed corporations to get over on us by not paying their taxes, not paying their staff. Compensation for CEOs used to be 41 times. In the 1980s, it was 41 times the median worker in their own company. Today, it's over 200 times the median worker in their company. We have built a system that is allowing certain individuals to abdicate their responsibility to their communities and hide their money away. We can't do that anymore, because that means that it is on the back of every one of us who is a working person, who is trying to raise the family, who's trying to input into the community. So I think we have to hold corporations accountable, right? Like, I think that's part of this whole system. And that actually, if they're paying their fair share of taxes, we can start to have greater investments in our communities through tax-based programs, right? I'm actually not asking for taxes on people who are working just like you and me to increase. I want people who are wealthy to pay their fair share.
That's only fair.
That's part of it. It's
Yeah,
only
but what's
fair,
fair?
right?
Hold on, stop.
No,
stop,
I'm not saying.
stop.
No.
Well, what's
If you-
fair? What's fair?
What's paid the right amount of taxes? You know all the loopholes. Like, they know, the wealthy seem like they know all the loopholes to get out of paying their fair share according to their net worth, like the rest of us do.
Let me give you an example, Rashad. Okay. CEOs of companies, what they do now is they pay themselves a salary of $70,000 a year, $80,000 a year. And then they have a compensation package that includes $13 million in stock. Now, when the stock gets taxed, it gets taxed at a lower rate than income gets taxed. So they give themselves a small income that pays the higher percentage tax, and they give themselves a lower percentage tax base for their big income. Now, when you and I work, do we get to say, you know what, I'm going to make this my income, I'm going to make this as my capital gains, and so you're only going to charge me, you know, a certain percentage on when we're just working on salary, or we're just working our lives, right? That's the problem. They're gaming the system so that they don't have to pay it. Warren Buffett, at one point, one of the most, you know, wealthy men in the world, he actually paid a lower tax rate than his secretary.
It's been I get that, but
Well, you explained it to me. I totally get it now. Thank you.
No, but listen. Right. All right, so we both playing basketball, and I can't dunk because you short. That's not fair.
No,
that's not fair. These are the rules of the game. So now we have to pay.
Let's say I pay 25% of my taxes on my income, right? Okay. Let's just easy numbers. 25% on my income. But we've made a system that says I only have to pay 10%, easy numbers, on money I bring in from cookie sales, right? Now I say, away all my money in cookie sales, and you can only charge me 10% for that. And I'm going to pretend that I only make a salary of $10,000 so that you only, rate, right? The reality is those people are getting paid millions of dollars.
They know how to play the game.
They're playing the game.
They know how to play the game.
Okay, but somebody made the rules of the game.
Yeah, they did.
If you don't like the game, then you gotta have to change the rules. Like, this is not like this ain't new. This ain't been happening.
No, it's not new. It's not
so
new.
Now, but this is
right,
never.
though.
This is never.
It is worse. So it happened in a Supreme Court case called Citizens United made it worse. And made it so that corporations could act as individual contributors to campaigns, that they became individuals for the purpose of campaigning. What that meant is they got more money in politics to sway the way politicians submit or they structure the system. That's why actually right now in New York State, and this is a new policy in New York State called public campaign finance reform. Last year they passed, this is the first election, this is the case. Instead, now it's when somebody donates to a campaign that qualifies, which is a state level campaign, between $5 and $250 in the district, it gets multiplied by the state up to 12 times. So a $5 donation becomes $65, a $250 donation becomes $2,550. But it requires the recipients of those campaign funds to decrease the amount of money they can take from any one individual. So it used to be you could take $11,000 from any one individual. Now you can take $5,000, but it doesn't get matched if it's over $250.
So you can get up to $250 and they match it.
Yep. But if you give $1 over that, it doesn't match anymore. And here's the deal. That means I had a woman who gave me $10. She works at Walmart. She gave me $10 for my campaign. That means it's $120 for my campaign plus the $10. The reality for that woman who gave me that donation is that $10 represents more like $120 to her pocket,
right,
than it represented $10 to my pocket. That means that now I'm fighting for her in a way that I wouldn't be fighting for her if I was only getting donations from people who could afford $11,000.
So that's why they ask for all the small donations.
That's right. We're going to a small donation system in New York State so that I am no longer accountable to the big business who are trying to hide their money. Right? That's the idea.
It sounds like some people changed some rules. That's
right.
what it sounds like. And they figured it out. That's what it sounds like.
But it's taken a long time for that rule to hit, and New York State's the only one doing it. So we'll see what that brings out, right? Like, so this will be the first election. And I will tell you, so, you know, I have 4 degrees. I am a mom of 3. I've worked several jobs. I am passionate about this community. I love being on the campaign trail. I will tell you, this is the best job interview I've ever had in my life. Also the longest.
Oh, tea time? Okay.
It's the best job interview ever. But I wouldn't have been able to run had I not been part of public campaign financing. I couldn't afford it on my own. So we will potentially see a difference in the people who can go to Albany because of these kinds of changes. And then that continues further changes down the road.
Okay.
I got a very, very, very important question to ask.
Uh-oh.
I know, right? I'm like, what is he about to say?
No, I want to know, okay. Why politics?
Oh.
No, because people have asked both of us to run and be a part of local politics. And I have my reasons why, and Bunky has her reasons. And I want to know what was it that got you to say, no, you know what? I'm
gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna take a swing at this and I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah. So I started politics in Oneonta because they took away a summer camp for kids. So they had a free program in the summer for kids. I'm a professor. I don't need daycare during the summer. I don't need my kids in a program because I actually am home. But I knew a lot of families that were affected by that. And I knew that it was going to take somebody who didn't have that at stake, right? So that they didn't look like, oh, well, this is all about me. Mm-hmm. Who could argue for those people who were working those 40-hour jobs where they don't have the flexibility to come to city council and answer those questions. I will say they started the program again after I had been on council. So it was that system that I have always said or felt in many ways that part of who I am and my responsibility to society is to be a step for those who need one. Right? So my back has been a place I want them to step off of. And that's why I teach at an access institution. So I teach at an institution that's often first generation, moving from, an unworking class to a college education for the first time in their family. I choose to teach at that kind of institution because I want people to be able to stand on what I've worked, right? When I went into going into politics, though, I feel like sometimes when I'm teaching, I'm throwing one starfish at a time. I don't know if you know the story about the boy on the beach with the starfish. He's on the beach. There's all these starfish that have washed up. And his grandfather's like, what are you doing? You can't help all these starfish. It means nothing. And the little boy picks up the starfish and he throws it back in the ocean. And he says, but it meant all the world, everything in the world to that, right? That one starfish, right?
Right.
And I've been doing that. I've been doing that for 12 years. You know, I have students who parents didn't want them to go to school. Now they're I have friends or students that became corrections officers and they're making a living wage and starting their families. And, you know, I have a student I've kept in touch with for, gosh, he's 28 now. He just had his baby, first baby, and sent me information about it, right? Pictures and, but I've been throwing one at a time in. And I feel like there's a point when you have to clean the beach with a bigger machine.
Okay. I get it.
Right? Like, so I want a bigger machine. And so I want to be somebody that our society on to jump. Does that answer?
I want Bunky to start throwing some starfish in. So that's why
No.
you can convince Bunky.
No. That's not going to happen.
You already are, Shad. You got your center. You're at the, you know, the barber shop. You got your.
It's funny. It's funny you said that because the guy who owns the restaurant around the corner, he's like, you know, I was telling him about the event. So he's like, so you're running for mayor, huh? And I'm like, dude, not even close. But it's, you know,
he does so much. He gives back so much to the community. He really, really does.
But my thing is, it's hard to get in and do the right things because I've seen a little bit where, you know, a lot of politics is scratch my back, I scratch your back. Right. And then, you know, sometimes your morals get compromised or what you're running or what you stand for, you might have to go against to gain what you need for your community. And then now you get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I can get a brand new rec center, basketball court, whatever my community wants. But then, I have to tell you guys to go vote for this building or this complex is not going to help our housing crisis. And now you're going to look at me like, yo, you're sleeping with the enemies. And I'm like, well, I just got you your rec center, the basketball court, everything that you asked for, you know. And I don't know. For me, it was just, you know, I would love to be a mentor to someone who's running.
I will tell you, though, Shad, I will tell you, local politics is not as much that way. So if you, I encourage everybody to get involved in politics.
But you know what? I have to disagree there, only because I've seen it. I mean, when I talk about, I get anxious. I've seen it. Like, there were people that I thought they'd be great for this, right? And they talk about they're going to run on this, they're going to do this, and once they get in, they ended up doing what Shad said. I say sold their soul. They like just for a title, just for a position, you know, a name. They're gonna do this for that, but then once they get in, it's over. It's just like you're like, who are you? You're not the same person.
Don't worry, I got a mom who keeps me very grounded, and children who also keep. I got kids that think I'm absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to get too high on myself with them. They're going to keep me grounded every time I see my yard signs around the.
I need you to get that internet fixed. That broadband got to be fixed out there.
No, but I'm going to tell you one thing. This was definitely a dope interview. I had a good time.
Wait, before we get into all that, let me do this really quick. She'll be back by then. Let me do this because I forgot last time. I did it again. I did it again.
Shout out to Senior G. I said Senior G.
Shout out to
over there.
Senior G. I'm sorry, Senior. I did it again. I did it again. I'm gonna get better with that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This was a great conversation.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
no, it really was, and it was super dope because we actually got to sit down and have a regular conversation with a politician. You don't
Exactly.
normally get that. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? Normally, you get the politician talk. Josh Riley, I think he was here over on stopped in the shop, and he's another guy that I told Bunky I would get him his information, and I want to hear more of what he's saying. He was very vague. He was very vague, very vague. Even in his commercials, he's very vague. So, which is I guess cool because it gets people wondering, but. We got to get some meat and potatoes in here, so we got to figure out what you exactly stand for and what you don't stand for. But
Now you're
I
not
had a
running against him, right?
No, I'm
Okay.
running against Pete Oberacker. Josh and I are on the same line,
Okay.
and we're together quite frequently. And so yes, but well, I appreciate that. I want to be real. I think that this is important that we have real conversations. And I think this is the other part about like the campaign financing and all that, right? Like we need real people in Albany, and I'm real people, right? Like I'm raising 3 kids, like my.
Yeah, no,
Can you call this?
Orienta, Delhi, 3 kids,
She's a
greenhouse.
real person. Yes, she's a
Yeah,
real person.
no, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
well, see, my thing is, she's a New Yorker. And
Yeah.
then New York is so big, and people forget that there's other places outside of Albany and Buffalo and Rochester and Syracuse. There's a whole bunch of places in between
In
with
New York
regular.
City, and yeah.
Yeah. So no, I definitely enjoyed it. I'm gonna look for you on a ticket. Hopefully we can get hopefully you do some more interviews so you can get more stuff out, because the more
Yeah.
stuff you get out on what you stand for, the better informed these voters are going to be. And I think
Yeah.
at this point, I think that's what people are really, really paying attention to is the information. I
Right.
think
Well,
we're past that.
I'd love to come down to your rec center.
Yo, you invite anytime you want to stop at. Only answer's not that far.
It's really cool. Rec Center is really
Actually,
cool.
one of my workers graduated from Delhi. So, he's here now working. So, that's absolutely cool. You stop by anytime, especially during the week. Me and my family are always here. We're in the heart of Liberty, New York.
49 North Main.
Yeah. Anytime you want to stop in, you are more than welcome.
So I'm in, I'm just looking to see when I'm down there again. Oh, how about hold on. I'm going to be down in Sullivan County on Saturday, September 14th. Are you there on the weekends?
He's there on the weekends.
Yo, listen, I'm glad you said Saturday the 14th, because I'm partying Saturday the 14th because the 11th is my birthday.
Yes.
And I have a party to do that Friday, so we're not gonna rain on her party. But Saturday, we're gonna do my party. So yeah, we're gonna have a good time. So yes, please stop by, especially if you're during the day. I should be packed in here. I'm here at 9 in the morning, but the party's gonna be late.
Well, let me know. I want to show up. I'm not doing a party shot. I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're gonna show up. Well, you guys figure out what time you guys want to come. Guess who's gonna be here?
I'm gonna try to come around 2:00. Bunky, can you send me an email? And then I'll try to put that on my calendar.
Okay.
And I'll give it. I have a schedule ninja who keeps my schedule. But I would
She's
love.
great.
Yes, right. Aileen Gunther came by opening day.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gave me a citation thing, and it was dope. She took pictures. She put it on her Facebook, her Instagram. So absolutely stop by. Stop by, check us out. Yeah, definitely. I'll be.
All right.
I'm gonna send an email.
So Bunky, send me a quick email, and then
yes, I will.
Get that planned in, and then you'll know what time I'm, so that if if you want to make sure you're there, Bunky, and all
I'm
that
gonna
good
be,
stuff.
I'm gonna be there.
I'm gonna pull up.
Facilitated this thing. I'm gonna be there.
All right. Don't
Absolutely.
forget to send me that. That's the way it gets to my schedule, Ninja.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. And good luck. Everybody look for Michele Frazier on the ballot November 4th. We got to go out there. We got to make 5th. Oh, yeah, don't go to 4th. But you know, they do have early voting the week before that.
That's right.
I do the early voting.
Through November 3rd.
Do the early voting. And she's running for District 51, New York. So you guys go out there, support her. Once again, let me well, you know, Michelle, I'll let you go. There's anything you want people to know, Shad, you stay. Anything you want the people to know before I let you go and while your service is good.
So I want you to know, probably this is the biggest thing. This is Sullivan County has been handed the ball. What I mean by that is this is U.S. District 19, which is Josh Riley via Molinaro. And Sullivan County is one of the most important counties in the entire. And one thing I do know about New Yorkers is we know how to get stuff done. So I'm hoping that your audience joins me in getting stuff done for New York 19 and Senate District 51. And I actually think that we were chosen right to make the world better. Sullivan County, I do love you.
Nice.
Great.
That's
great.
dope. That's super dope.
All right, everybody, I'm going to head out and thank you again.
Yes, thank you. You have a wonderful night. Stay safe.
You too.
All righty. Yo.
See? Dope show.
Yeah, it was a dope show.
Dope. We had a dope politician on the show.
Yeah.
We don't normally does it go hand in hand. You know, we're not as fortunate as Joy and Rachel and everybody over at MSNBC.
But you know, but they don't affect us as closely as Michelle would.
No, absolutely. Listen, what she say? District 51, Zone 19. Sullivan County, stand up. Oh, everybody that is in tune, look for Michele Frazier on the ballot. She's gonna be down the line of the ticket for District 51 that includes Sullivan County. You heard it here first. So if you need something done, you can hit us. We can get to her. We can get her on the show. We can get her on the show.
Building relationships.
Yes. So we can get it done for our community, right?
And that's So you guys, I appreciate you. Sean, stay right there. Appreciate you all so much. Yeah. Share this episode, like, share, follow, subscribe. Tea Time with Bunky on YouTube. The Rec Boys in the studio with the Rec Center Rashad. They're on Wednesdays, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Next week. Shout out to Chris and his wife.
Shout out to Chris, and y'all have a wonderful vow renewal.
Yes, absolutely.
You can catch Tea Time with Bunky on Thursdays at 8 a.m. on Culture Shock Radio, Confidence Radio, Radio Facero, Rockbox. I keep saying that twice. I gotta stop that. Rock the Music and Gnarly FM. These all air in 200 plus stations. Go ahead, download the BGN app. It's free. If you missed all of those stations that I just said, just download the app. You can get it's supported by Zeno FM with additional supports by Online Radio Box. So I appreciate you. Make sure you tune in Thursday. I'm still kind of iffy with Thursday's guest. I haven't heard back from her. So, but either way, we'll have something. I'll figure out something. I'm
off this week, so you never know.
We may do another political.
Yeah.
I mean,
why we always gotta get political? We got we do got a lot of stuff. We do have a lot of stuff to cover. Yeah,
it's crazy right now.
I get it.
So we'll see. Whatever God's will, He'll make it. Whatever happens.
What happened?
Okay.
That's it.
So I will catch you guys. I appreciate you. Make sure you go follow Michele Frazier 451. You can catch her on Facebook. Michele Frazier 451. Yeah, I'm sure she'll appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.